Coming up on iPads in the classroom, it's all about graphs. Hi, my name is Guy Trainin, and this is iPads in the Classroom from TechEdge. And today we're going to start talking about a way to keep tabs on all of your iDevices in your classroom. And what I'm talking about, actually, is about the Find My iPhone app. And if you go to Find My iPhone and you turn it on, what you can see is that all of the devices that you're familiar with that sit on this account can be located on a map. So you can see that our reading center has a lot of iPads, and they're all actually located more or less in the same place. And that way you can find where it is. And by the way, you can also play a sound and it'll make a sonar sound on that device. And you can, again, go through your list of devices and find them. And I can give you another example. You can also find computers that are there. And if a machine is offline, it'll actually show that that machine is offline, and therefore you cannot find it because the machine has to be connected to the internet for you to be able to find it. But today I really wanted to talk about how to learn about graphs and charts and how to make graphs and charts on a simple level, so pie charts, simple bar charts, etc., on the iPad. And I want to start with two apps that actually help you learn about graphs, so how to read graphs, not how to make them. And the first one is called Tap to Learn Graphs. And in Tap to Learn Graphs, what you do is you, at different levels, can learn and then take an assessment about specific graphs. And let's start with bar graphs and beginners. And you can see that there's a graph showing, and this is something that shows up in many assessments, standardized assessments as well. This is how you read graphs, and you have a simple question here: who lost the most money? And then you have three options, so it's a multiple choice. You have to look at the graph and you read the title, it's company losses in thousands, and the one that lost the most is tech. And you get it correct. And how much money did Beta lose? So now it's a question with a value answer, and there's a little bit of estimation because they use three-dimensional graphs. And you find Beta, and you say, I think it's about 55, and it's correct. And let's do one where it's incorrect. So company losses, which company lost the most money? Let's say Smart. Did I get this wrong? So you just get a buzzer that says you got it wrong, and the counter in the top right corner tells you how many you got right and how many you got wrong. And as you can see in this, you can also talk about line graphs and have questions at different levels about line graphs and about pie charts. So this is for simple graphs and charts, and a lot of practice for students to be able to practice how do you read this, what are the correct ways to think about doing this kind of work. A second one that helps do that and does it a little bit differently is called Math Excel Workbooks. And in Math Excel Workbooks, you do some other things, including work on coordinates, which is really important in a variety of ways in math and not just in reading charts and graphs. So let's look at what Math Excel Workbooks does. So in Math Excel, you start with coordinates. So you start with an assignment, and the assignment is touch the shape at 1, 4, and this is the shape, 1, 4, and you can check your answers, and it gives you the answer right there. And next question, and you go to the next coordinate questions, and I just want to go through the coordinate questions. In this case, you have to actually write the coordinates, and in this case, the yellow square, which is 4, 3. The one thing that I discovered about this app is that you have to be very, very careful to do it exactly as asked, including the parenthesis in this problem. So kids might get it wrong simply because they forgot the parenthesis. But this is the answer. And we go through the next one. Move the green pentagon to 4, 4. So you have to locate the green pentagon, which is a task all by itself, and move it to the right place. So it's another version of this exercise. And finally, you can see that you can start graphing points, and you have to move them according to the direction up here. And so this is another way to learn about graphs that asks kids to interact, and it's very interactive in its assignments, but it attacks it from a totally different perspective, building graphs by manipulating them, by knowing about coordinates. So now I want to talk about two apps that help you make graphs. So if you have the Numbers app from Apple, that would be my #1 choice to make graphs. But if you don't, and you want some other options to think about that are very simple and allow some work to be done and done well, we found a couple of apps that really do that. The first one is called Charts Maker Pro. You can immediately see that it has a limited number of charts you can make, and I want to start with bar charts, which is one of those things that we start kids on very early, very important in getting the sense of quantity and some basic graphing abilities. And what you can see is that this gives you actually 4 different options. Let's choose this option, and this comes with sample graphs so you can see how it works. But let's say we are doing an exercise in class and we're graphing everybody's favorite color or favorite Halloween candy or whatever you want to think about. So kids like red or green or yellow or pink. And then you write down the numbers. So 4 kids like red, and I'm just entering numbers randomly here. 12 pinks. And the one thing about this is that you have to define a second column, which is rather annoying, but you can simply assign a 0 value there, and it will not hurt the graph itself. And you have to define x-axis. In this case, it's favorite color, favorite color, and we don't really need a y-axis label because we're not using it. So we render chart, and now you can see that those data that I just entered are represented in the bar graph very, very clearly, very, very simply. It'll work for other graphs as well. So this is called Chart Maker Pro, and again, there is a free version that has limited graphing ability. The next one is called Vvi Graph, and this app allows you to do very complex graphing as well as simple. It is a free app, and it does have ads. There is a table editor that allows you to enter data, just like the previous one. And again, you touch it, it'll come up. You can enter a new number, let's say 12 here. And it changes, and then you can go to the graph itself. And here is the graph, and the number that I entered changed the graph quite extensively right here. So today we reviewed really 4 different apps that are all about graphing. We had 2 apps that taught kids how to read graphs, and 2 apps that taught them how to build graphs, and then they can read them and learn about them. The last thing I want to talk about as we talk about this is I want to talk about this app called Red Laser, and Red Laser is actually an iPhone app. And what Red Laser does is it allows you to scan almost anything in your classroom, outside your classroom, out in a store or anywhere else, scan a barcode, scan a QR code, and connect you to what those codes connect you to, or to a product. You can also take a picture of a product, and the machine will try to connect you to other products like it. So if kids have a book, they can take a picture of the book, it'll scan it and try to connect it to similar books. It is a great app to help kids connect those symbols they see around them, QR codes, barcodes, etc., to other things in their lives. So this is called Red Laser, and it's just a little tip of another way to use an iPad if it's got a camera. We'll see you next time on iPads in the Classroom.